Welcome to China Focus. I'm Shelley Zhang. We've heard a lot about hacking or cyber spying from China in recent months, but over the last month, there have been a couple of prominent cases of what's called the insider threat. That's when companies lose data or sensitive proprietary information through old-fashioned means, through their employees. Here today to talk about this, we have Jason Ma and Chen Zhifei. So in terms of, there have been a couple of major cases of this that have come up lately. The most probably prominent one is the Sixing Liu, this guy who was sentenced, a Chinese citizen sentenced to 5 years, 10 months in prison for violating the U.S. arms embargo, for kind of giving documents related to sensitive, like technology that had military applications, to bringing that to China with him. So is this something that's like a big threat? Is this more of a threat than cyber spying?
I think this is bigger than the cyber threat. And we discussed about this. For the cyber threat, I mean, they download trillions of data, probably even don't know how to start to analyze data. They may take more effort to analyze data than really can develop something out of it. So, but this insider threat, they know the technology from the scratch, so they can really point to what you need to know. So I guess this is really a bigger threat than the cyber attack. Cyber attack give you a more kind of scary feeling, but this is a real threat.
So it's really targeted, is what's
And this threat is less structured, so it really put the scope of the espionage activity into a wider scope, because wider kind of network. Because the person you mentioned, Dr. Liu Sixing, actually was believed not to be part of China's system in terms of espionage. He was self-proclaimed espionage because he wanted to engage these kind of activities for self-aggrandizement purposes, to get advancement in his career. Right ahead of his return to China, his computer, a laptop computer, was found to have very sensitive military trade secrets embedded in it.
I was going to ask about this, because if you look at kind of like the timeline of what this guy did, so he was working for a major defense contractor called L3 Communications, working on something that would allow like drones and missiles to kind of target things without using satellite technology. And then he took a couple of trips to China to speak at conferences that were organized by Chinese universities, and he talked about his work that was classified and transferred stuff about his work to his personal computer. But it wasn't very clear from this whether there was a Chinese government involvement.
Yeah, it's utter lunacy. It's utter lunacy personally, because he's a veteran in the field. He should know there are clearly defined boundaries on his personal activity. What can be done, what cannot be done. Right. And also, if he's a professional, a pro, he would not go to these lands revealing his true identity. So that's why I believe he's self-proclaimed.
No, so that's the reason I don't think indeed he was not charged as a spy or traitor.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not, because he's not. He's not something like the Chinese government planned inside the US to do this kind of thing. And that makes the whole thing more difficult, even more difficult, because he just one of the person who suddenly reached his probably glass ceiling in US, and then he want to find a better position in China. He want to use the secret technology he learned in US to promote himself in China.
So that's for personal gain.
It's like a mid-career crisis. When you hit the age of 40, 50s, and you saw you had to hit the glass ceiling, there was little room for you to advance, but you saw your Chinese classmates making money as government officials. You were under a lot of pressure to impress them, to show that actually my decision coming out of country to immigrate to the United States was a better decision. So I think I was under the impression that he was pursuing that kind of strategy, and that put him in a multitude, a lot of people having similar thoughts.
Right, and I also, basically what he's doing, I think morally he knows he's wrong. He definitely knows he's wrong, but he feels he can be lucky. He will not be caught. That's the major thing. Hey, I don't think he won't really hurt the US by giving Chinese this kind of thing. He just kind of morally low in this case, and then he feels he's lucky. And but all these kind of thing make detecting these kind of people in advance.
Well, I was
harder.
going to say, because this guy's background, PhD in electrical engineering, he came to the U.S. in '93, worked at a bunch of U.S. companies. It sounds like my dad in a way, you know, like he's just somebody who immigrated to the U.S., you know, got a degree, like worked here.
I came to the country same year.
Yeah, so well, okay, or like huge of it. Like, so, I mean, like, is there a way to, I mean, is this widespread?
I guess at least right now, because of the policy, I mean, you can't say Chinese government didn't play any role in this case. They do build this bridge. And for example, almost every week, people like us will receive some email from China saying like, oh, we are organizing this symposium, all this kind of important will be in the symposium. We think you are pretty kind of a big guy in this field. Can you give us a talk in this symposium? I mean, we receive this kind of email. Basically, they build, the Chinese government kind of build this kind of venue and bridge. So most people, they don't have interest, so they just kind of ignore those emails. But some people, if they really want to go back China to seek their career over there, so they may respond and then finally be a speaker. And what they are talking about is their personal choice. This guy chooses to talk about what he shouldn't talk.
The classified
information. Yeah, I think this guy definitely needs to develop more sensitivity or political savvy in dealing with his career. But because basically what I see is he's taking advantage of the tricky relationship between the two countries, sort of capitalize on antagonism simmering between the two countries. He definitely knew the Western military technology would be prized in China, and he wanted to use it as a way to exchange for military, for material gains, for career advancement in China. That's not a very smart move, basically, because he's really gambling. He's like a Wall Streeter, even though he's not working on Wall Street. He sees himself as somebody working at a hedge fund, that you can take one bet, one gamble, you can take billions of dollars.
So is this like insider trading?
That's true. That's exactly what I see it.
But what I can see here is I think although there is kind of misunderstanding among U.S. General public, they all call this Chinese spy, which is not true. But meanwhile, I do believe the Department of Justice and FBI, they understand this whole thing better. So they publicize this kind of case, which is as a threat or as an educational kind of a channel. Basically, it's I hope a lot of Chinese engineers and technical people can really understand what is the whole thing about it. Forget about the argument whether it's political or not, but learn some lesson out of it.
What about on the Chinese side? Because you know, if this was, let's say, take China and the U.S. out of it, if this was two American companies who were competing for, like, in corporate interests, and you'd have to sign non-disclosure agreements that you wouldn't be able to give your proprietary information to your rival or something like that. Do they have that kind of stuff in China? That's
a big problem. That's basically what I'm talking about, this kind of cultural difference. Over there, they have something almost on the surface, everything similar here, but people ignore it. And indeed, the stealing technology is not only between China and the US. Within China, different competitive companies, they are stealing from each other. And I take your technique people to my company and then directly ask him to develop what he did over there. And kind of, it's a mess over there. That's the reason so many people, I mean, in China, they don't refuse to develop the novel technology. Why all those smart engineers, they develop things in US, but when they go back to China, they stop developing new things because the market, the competitiveness over there is really not encouraging you to create something novel, new. Because once you spend billions of dollars to create it, the other people just copy it.
Well, I think this guy, Liu Sixing, just speaking of his experience, is a veteran in the field. I think he knows all of this, but he just is a business, in terms of business principle, he's a risk taker. His business risk averse. He plays this brinksmanship. He thought, I'm leaving this country for good, right? He was caught at the airport when he's returning to China. So I just again make this gamble. If I win, that's it. And it seems to be, from his experience, a lot of people have made it. I believe what Jason said. A lot of Chinese people, professional at this age stage or career stage, harbor similar thoughts. They thought their experience in China could be turned into money or career advancement in China. They would take this risk. And a lot of people were not caught. That's, again, a challenge facing the U.S. government.
Right, just one thing is when he was caught when he returned to U.S., he was caught,
okay.
not when he leaving. But I think the point, I agree. Basically, he's a risk taker and he thinks he can gamble and win. And that the reason is a lot of people do gamble and win. But I think right now, you said in the past 4 years, nearly 100 cases is kind of in a similar category. So I guess this is a situation where as long as you have this high profile kind of case published in the media, and that can serve some purpose because most of these guys, they are not those terrorists. I mean, they are willing to die as long as they know the risk is pretty high, and then they just stop doing it.
Hopefully, that's the message they're getting.
Okay, great. Thank you for joining us today to talk about this issue, and thanks for watching. We'd love to hear what you think. Visit us at ntd.tv or send us an email at the address below.